Hello, welcome to Section 3 of the Agile Samurai Bootcamp. In this section, we're going to start getting real by breaking down and learning how to gather requirements using the fundamental unit of work on an Agile project, user stories. By learning how to gather requirements as user stories, you'll see how Agile plans are always kept up to date, contain only the latest and greatest information, and avoid one of the greatest wastes our industry has ever known, premature upfront analysis. Let's start looking at how we used to gather requirements and some of the challenges that come with trying to write everything down. The problem with documentation. Heavy documentation as a means of capturing requirements has never really worked on software projects. Customers seldom get what they want, teams seldom build what's needed, and vast amounts of time and energy are spent debating what was written instead of what actually needs to be done. Here's some other problems teams run into when they rely too heavily on documentation for their software requirements. First off, they can't handle change. Documents don't deal with change all that well. You write something down, it quickly gets out of date. You can keep trying to keep the docs up to date, but when working in rapid feedback cycles like you do in software, you're really fighting a losing battle. Your docs go out of date, your developers build the wrong thing, your customers aren't happy. Also, you get what you spec. Traditional project management techniques fight change on projects tooth and nail, and Agile was born largely in response to counter this style of management. When you write something down and freeze the spec, you cut off one of the greatest sources of learning of any creative endeavor, feedback. You get what you spec instead of what your customers need. And all this just builds. You can't have a conversation with a document. You can, but it's going to be tough. So when the spec doesn't answer the team's questions, they have to make assumptions and guess. And because so much innovation and discovery happens when building software, and all that rapid feedback that comes from customers, a lot of the time and energy spent maintaining the docs ends up being completely wasted, as the team realizes they're much better off talking to customers instead of relying on what some analyst or someone wrote 3 months ago. Now you might ask, what if we just tried documenting more? The problem with gathering requirements as documentation isn't one of volume, it's one of communication. First, as I said, you can't have a conversation with a document, at least not a very engaging one. Second, it's just easy to misinterpret what someone wrote. Look at all the different ways I can say the same sentence and get completely different meanings based on how I say it and how we use punctuation. I didn't say she took the money. 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 You know, words are really slippery things. I remember talking to Martin Fowler once, and he was lamenting to me how even after spending years on writing a book, he was continuously surprised by the number of times people missed the core message of what he was trying to say. And that's after writing a book. In extreme cases, mistakes in grammar cost companies millions of dollars, but mostly they just serve as poor means of describing and capturing what customers would like to see in their software. And this leads to one of the most important principles in Agile, and that is the most efficient and effective method of conveying information to and within a development team is with face-to-face communication. So what we need is something that enables us to have a conversation about a requirement, captures the essence of what our customer wants, and is small enough for planning, yet descriptive enough to remind us of what we were talking about when we actually get around to building it. Enter the user story.